if your desire to share with other people your thought and emotion. For instance, tonight we're supposed to get a freeze, and lots of people have been planting flowers for a long time around here. And we want very badly to not have our plants and flowers frozen tonight. And so
they all will be. They're just playing with you. In other words, hear your words. Those were really well-chosen words. We want very badly.
Very much.
We want very badly. We're having great pain over the idea of this thing that we do not want. And so, what is it that you do want?
Then if we turn that around, we want very much to have this wonderful
Too late.
result.
You've already beat the drum.
Well, the point I would like to get to actually is...
It's never too late. In other words, it's never too late. We're just being playful with you. What we were meaning in our playfulness is that even though you changed your words from we want very badly to we want very much, it's the way you feel. And so as you're worried about them, then you're not serving yourself as well. And so what we would do, if we were standing in your physical shoes, we would bask in the pleasure of the beautiful spring gardens. And we would acknowledge that no matter what, you're going to have beautiful spring gardens. And that it's nice that you have been watching the calendar, and some may have jumped the gun a little bit in your eagerness for spring, but it doesn't really matter because your spring will still come. And there is so much pleasure to be had from planting the garden. And the flowers that have already been planted have been planted in soil that has been prepared. And it's not really the end of the world or even close to it if the flowers that were planted end up not being the ones that will ultimately remain. And there has been more fine-tuning taking place in the process. And so whatever happens, it'll be all right. We'll just make the best of it. Hey, another weekend to plant the garden. There have been worse things than getting the pleasure of working in the garden an extra day or 2 or 3, you see. We would just try to look at it in the most optimistic way that we can. And in doing so, you hold yourself in the place where you allow all of the good things to culminate that will. Here you stand at any point in time as this vortex where the source energy that is you meets the physical intention that is you, the physical personality that is you. You have these meaningful junctures or moments in time. And so let's say that the worst case scenario in this example happens, that a very hard freeze takes out the flowers and maybe even some bushes that don't usually freeze. In other words, let's say it's a really unusual hard freeze that comes forth. And as you focus upon the idea of that happening, or as you even contemplate the idea of that happening, you feel the negative emotion of it, and you feel the injustice of it, and you feel the sadness in anticipation of it, and you feel the unfairness, and you even start to squabble with each other about it. I told you we shouldn't have planted this so soon, and oh, you're just always so eager to get the plants in the ground, and then we ended up having to do the work twice, and so it sort of gets amplified in a stronger way. And so what happens is you let this one really rather insignificant part of your life be a big subject that you use as your reason to disallow energy. So what we would like to say to you is the consequence of the garden is really the lesser consequence. The bigger consequence is you have let yet another thing be your excuse to pinch off the energy, which is keeping you from allowing many other things that you want, like clarity, like loving relationship. In other words, you take one thing that seems like a big issue, big or small, but is an issue, and you use it as your excuse to not feel good, and whether it was fact or not, whether there's a hard freeze coming or not, it's not worth getting upset about. Whether there's a hurricane coming or not, it's not worth getting upset about. In other words, whether there's a recession coming or not, it's not worth getting upset about. Nothing is worth getting upset about, because no matter how big or small it is, you use that as your excuse to pinch life off. Now that's worth talking about. Yes. And we understand the content and the emphasis that you're applying here. In other words, we know that you're fine-tuning. We know that your gardens are not the end of the world. We know that you're just wanting to understand what power of influence that you have. But if we were standing in your physical shoes, we would make statements to ourselves such as, you know, I think I'm going to ratchet it back a notch. That's Esther's new term. I'm going to ratchet it back a notch. She means I'm going to become a little less intense. And I'm going to not try so hard to make things happen. And just be a little bit more in the place of letting things happen. Just going to let things happen. So with that in mind, you say, well, we've done our work. We've set our intent for the garden in place. We got the beds ready. We even went so far as to get some preliminary plants in just because we're so eager about it all. And whatever happens, it's going to be okay. Make the best of it. And when you make the best of whatever you're focused upon, your future will be better than your now. If each moment you're making the best of what is, no matter what it is, make the best of it, make the best of it, make the best of it. Your future just gets better and better and better and better and better. But there are a lot of people who deliberately make the worst of things. They deliberately stir things up or make the worst of things because they have become accustomed to action being taken by others in response. In other words, you learn that from your parents pretty early on. You want something, then they're not ready to give it to you. You have to plead a pretty hard case, a pretty hard, needy case. And sometimes they just get worn down and they cave in. But universal energies are not that way. You get exactly how you feel. Yes. Very good. Clarifying indeed. Yes?
I'm hoping that you might be able to provide some sort of an analogy for my appreciation of the law of attraction. It seems in my mind that I have taken this at face value, and now I feel ready to understand something that is on the surface incomprehensible. How in the world, how on earth can all this vibrational activity be clarifying each and every one of our lives in the way that it is?
Well, how does your radio receive what you have it set on? Why doesn't your radio get everything that's out there?
In other words, it would be all white noise to all of us if we were not tuned very personally, electromagnetically somehow. The result of that tuning or harmonic being this illusion of the life we live or the creation that we experience as we move through time and space.
Well stated. In other words, let's say that you're walking through a magnificent rose garden, flower garden, later, after the freeze. And your nose was removed when you were a baby. So you have no facility to interpret vibration through smelling. And so you see the roses and you interpret their vibration through your eyes, but you do not smell them. And other people are running through the garden, picking them, holding them close, and you are watching them and thinking, this is extremely odd behavior. The rose is so much more beautiful for me at about this distance. I can hardly see it at all when I get it up there like that.
I've been convinced that God as a personality or a mind, a single mind, is not what's going on. I am reiterating the same thing I began with, but I'm trying to understand it in a slightly different way.
Yes.
Because each time I approach the notion of circumstances and events being somehow moved by an intelligence, which would suggest something like Buddhist thought, that there is a grand intelligence that is organizing things.
There is, and it is a stream of well-being. But here is the differentiation, the clarification that we want to bring to this idea of higher power organizing and manipulating and creating. When you think of yourself in your pointed leading edge place where your environment is causing a preference to be born in you, and that preference is being emitted like a radio signal that is being matched by other frequencies that are like it, so that the summoner of that frequency now is the fuller liver of that frequency, Now that's easy to comprehend, isn't it?
Yes.
And so when you think about every consciousness, whether it's a cell in your body or the one-celled amoeba in the ocean or the personality that you call me, this human being, whatever you are vibrating is, by law of attraction, summoning more of the same unto itself. The thing that makes it a little complicated with humans is that you think all over the place. You think about this and you think about this. You love this and you hate that. And so your vibrations aren't very consistent. And so you're asking and not letting in and asking and not letting in. And so as a result of all of this, our friend earlier quoted us, we think they were quite clever words, sloppy thinking, as all of this sort of creating by default is going on, sloppy thinking, then philosophers and those that are trying to make sense of it stand back and look at the whole mess of all of this, and they try to figure out what's going on. They try to put some order to it, and they are the ones that conjure these images of a superpower that is watching behavior and then punishing and blessing, and it causes confusion. There is no satisfaction in being physically focused and trying to make sense of your own life or anyone else's until you come into conscious concert with your own guidance system, where you can get a handle on what your vibrational content is. And when you get a conscious handle on what your vibrational content is, then your world begins to make sense.
So the appearance of any conflict between people's lives or desires conflicting is merely a misconception of the actual perfect working of law of attraction, vast enough and complex enough to be responding to each and every individual in the way that they're doing it, and it's just up to us to learn that we are completely the creator of our experience.
Those are the best words we have ever heard that speak this.
Thank you.
Yes.
The last question spoke quite directly to something I've been wondering about a lot, which has to do with ourselves focused in a body. Our cells have focus. They have preferences. I think I've heard you say that.
Yes.
So it seems like every organ in our body also functions that way.
Yes. Aren't you glad you don't have to tend to it consciously?
Absolutely. So what we are is a whole series of points of desire.
You're like a universe sitting there on that chair.
So in order to, say, talk to our liver, or
why would you need to? Do you know liver talk? Does your liver need talk to?
Well, I would talk to my dog, which is a consciousness that I live with. Why wouldn't I talk to my liver?
Well, your dog may be a more satisfying conversation than your liver. We just were wondering, what kinds of things would you like to say to your liver?
Well, am I satisfying it? Is it happy where it is? I guess, I'm thinking like how many different consciousnesses we are, and yet we're ignoring most of them.
Well, here's the thing. When you are in your joy, you are communicating fully with every cell in your body. And you are allowing every cell in your body the full reception of whatever its desires are. So when you're happy in your body that we are calling a universe, it would sort of be like a benevolent parent who joyously expects all of their children's desires to be satisfied fully and never gets in the way of any of that happiness. Conversely, when you are angry or frustrated or worried about something, you get in the way. You set up vibrational resistance that makes your cells have to work harder for their balance. So if you were talking to your liver and your liver were talking back, your liver would say, just be happy. If you were to say, is there anything I can do for you, liver? Your liver would say, run, bask, romp, skip, love, laugh. No, I meant, is there anything I can do for you? Your liver would say, yes, just leave me happily alone. Just leave me alone. I'm very happy here. I don't need your attention.